The objective today is to convert fractions to decimals. Let's remember that fraction in reality is a division. For example, 5/8 or 5/8 in reality is 5 divided by 8. Another way of writing this is 5 divided by 8 using long division, or another option is as a ratio, 5 to 8. This fraction bar is our division symbol. So, if we want to convert a fraction to a decimal, the easiest way is just to divide 3 by 4 in this case, if we want to express 3/4 as a decimal. But sometimes we are not allowed to use a calculator. So I am going to show you some tricks to convert a fraction into decimal without doing too much calculation. So, how can I express 3/4 or 3 divided by 4 or 3/4 as a decimal? Well, the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, can I easily change my denominator to either 10, 100, or 1,000? Why 10, 100, or 1,000? Because if we remember from previous lessons, if we have those place values, it's easy to change our decimal to fraction or fraction to decimals. So, let's try with 3/4. Can I make an equivalent fraction with denominator 10, 100, or 1,000? So, can I convert this 4 into 10 easily by multiplying it by a whole number? Well, 4 times 2, that will be 8, and then 4 times 3, that will be 12. So, this denominator will not be useful in this fraction. If you want to remember to refresh your memory about equivalent fractions, I will leave you that video here in the description about equivalent fractions. Let's try 100. Can I convert that 4 easily to 100? Well, 4 times 25 will give you 100. So, I am going to make an equivalent fraction with denominator 100. Remember, whatever you do to the denominator, you need to do it to the top to make that an equivalent fraction. 3 times 25, that's 75. Okay, so now that I have my fraction with denominator 100, it's easy to change it to a decimal. This reads 75 hundredths. So just write that as a decimal, 0.75. This will be 75 hundredths. Remember that the last digit is in the hundredths place. 75 hundredths. So 3/4 is equivalent to 75 hundredths as a decimal. But what if you have something like this? Express 9/15 as a decimal. So, our first trick, remember, ask yourself, can I change that 15 to 10, 100, or 1,000? We're looking for equivalent fractions. Well, if I try to change that 15 into 10, I'm making it smaller, so I need to divide by something, but 15 divided by no whole number will give me that 10. So, this will not be useful. What about 100? Well, 15 times no whole number will give me 100 either, and probably 1,000 either. So, this is not useful. If you cannot change your denominator to 10, 100, or 1,000, try the next trick. Check if you can simplify your fraction. Can I simplify 9/15? Well, remembering our previous lesson, simplifying fractions, if you want to go and check that lesson, I will also leave the link here in the description. 9 and 15 are not even, so I cannot divide them by 2. I'm trying to find a factor that divides both the numerator and the denominator to simplify my fraction. But 3, what about 3? I can divide both numbers by 3. So I will do 9 divided by 3, that will be 3. 15 divided by 3, that will be 5. So I simplify my fraction. Now come back to our first trick. Now that your fraction is in simplest form, can you change that denominator to either 10, 100, or 1,000? We're trying to find an equivalent fraction. Well, 5 easily can be changed to 10. How do I do that? By multiplying the denominator by 2 to find the equivalence. I do the same thing to the numerator. So 3 times 2, that will be 6. So now I have 6 tenths. How do I write that as a decimal? 6 tenths will be 0.6. 6 is in my tenths place. So 9/15 is equivalent to 6 tenths. That will be my decimal form. But what if you have something like this? So let's start with our first trick. Ask yourself, can I change that 9 to either 10, 100, or 1,000? Well, if you try to convert that 9 into 10 by multiplying by a whole number, that will not be possible. What about 100? I think that is not possible either, and probably 1,000. You will not be able to find an equivalent fraction using those denominators. So I'm going to go to the next trick. Can I simplify my fraction? Well, let's check. 2 9s. If I try to divide by 2, 9 is not even, so I cannot divide by 2. What about 3? Well, 2 is not divisible by 3. 2 is prime, so I will not be able to find any other factor of 2. So this fraction is already in simplest form. I cannot simplify this fraction anymore. So what do I do now? Well, in this case, there is no other option as to do long division. And to do long division, you have to be careful because remember that the order in division matters. The order of the numbers matter. So when you do long division and you are not allowed to use a calculator, you have to be very careful with that. So I have this acronym called TIBO. That means top in, bottom out. Top will be your numerator, bottom will be your denominator. So there's no other option as to do long division. So top in the little house of long division, bottom out. So in this case, we don't have any other option as to do our long division. So remember, you are not allowed to use a calculator. If you are allowed to use a calculator, you just type 2 divided by 9 and you will get the answer. But in this case, I'm just showing you how to do it if you don't have a calculator. When you are dividing by 9, you need the multiples of 9. And it's very useful if you have them visible for you. So I'm just going to write them down here. So I'm going to write the first 10. So 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, and 90. These are the multiples of 9 that I am going to be using for my long division. So when you start your long division, you need to ask yourself, how many 9s fit in 2? Well, as you can see, we need at least 9 so we can be able to fit 9 in 2, so that will not be possible. So 9 will not fit in 2, so that means it fits 0 times. If I want to continue with this long division, I can add my decimal point and I can add zeros here in the dividend. So now I am going to use the number 20. How many 9s fit in 20? Well, if you observe your multiples, 20 fits between these two, between 18 and 27. So how many times it fits? 1, 2 times, and that will be 18. So I write that 18 below that 20, I subtract, and I get a remainder of 2. So let's continue. I am going to add another 0 to see what's going on. So again, I get 20. How many times 9 fits in 20? Again, 2. Again, I get 18. Again, remainder of 2. So if I keep going, if I keep adding zeros, I am going to keep getting that 2. And this will never stop. So this is a repeating decimal, as we can see. So 2 9ths is equivalent to 0.22222 repeating. Another way of writing a repeating decimal is with a repeating bar. This bar, you write it on top of the repeating number. So 2 9ths is equivalent to 0.2 repeating. So tips to convert fractions to decimals without a calculator. Take a screenshot of this slide now. Can I easily change my denominator to either 10, 100, or 1,000? If you cannot do this, check if you can simplify your fraction and then go back to trick number 1. Maybe now you will be able to change it to 10, 100, or 1,000. If you cannot simplify your fraction, there is no option as to do long division. And if you are not allowed to use the calculator using long division, remember the multiples of the divisor are going to be very useful if you have them visible. And remember this acronym, TBO, top in, bottom out, so you position correctly those numbers in your long division. Other things to remember when you convert fractions to decimals are benchmark fractions. If you memorize these benchmark fractions that you have written here, everything is going to be much easier. When you do all these calculations, these benchmark fractions are going to be useful when doing your calculations. So take a screenshot now too to have this somewhere saved in your computer. Another thing that is going to be helpful, if you remember, are those multiples that easily can be changed to either 10, 100, or 1,000. We have denominator 5, denominator 25, or denominator 4, denominator 20, or denominator 5, denominator 50, denominator 8. So again, take a screenshot and save this in your computer. This will be very helpful. Okay, now is your turn. Express the following fractions as decimals. Don't forget to use the tips. Don't forget to use those tricks. Try not to use a calculator. I am going to give you the answers at the end of this video, so pause this video now, open your notebook, try these examples on your own, and then click play and go and check the answers. Don't forget to like this video, share, and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram and Twitter @NumeritosTV. And if you want to suggest any other topic or objective, please let me know. Bye-bye.